Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this HubSpot User Group, where we're going to talk about the all-famous subject of lead scoring, and we're going to dive into the new possibilities we have today in the platform regarding lead scoring, where a lot has changed and a lot of new opportunities are now available to all of us. So first of all, welcome to you all, and I hope we'll have a great session. Just give you a warning, we have a lot of content we like to cover today, so I'll probably be speed talking the most of the time, but I'm not alone. I would like to welcome Lotte as well. And we will get started very, very soon. I just want to add this HubSpot User Group we're trying to do the topics specialized for manufacturing companies, trying to evolve ideas around that subject. I am a senior advisor at Helium B2B, a HubSpot Diamond partner, and been working on the HubSpot platform for the last 10 years or so, and working on inbound strategies in that area. So I'm the leader of this hub, and it's great to see you. So welcome, Lotte, as well.
Hello everyone. I'm the co-founder and commercial lead here at Helion, and I'm heading up our other HubSpot user group for software as a service companies. And today I'm joining Lars to just give a little bit of perspective on lead scoring and also some use cases as well. But Lars will be the main speaker today.
I'll probably be talking a lot, as we really want to cover a lot of information in these 45 minutes. So if you have any questions, please put them into the chat panel, the Q&A panel. Sina and Lotte will have a look at that. If possible, Lotte will answer directly on that, or we'll take it afterwards and ensure you will be contacted afterwards. So I hope that's okay with you all. So let's get started. First of all, we all have been, working with lead scoring for many years. Lead scoring has been around for many years, also before the digital platforms. But in HubSpot especially, that has been covered by this all-famous score property that we have all used to build some kind of lead score. And you have to go into the property settings, you have to choose a score property, and then you have to set some positive criteria for your scoring, and you can set some negative criteria for your scoring. All in all, that's a nice tool, but it's also kind of hidden. So you also kind of tend to risk to forget how to handle it. So in many aspects, you will try to control that, and also with the new lead score, via something like this. A matrix in a spreadsheet where you kind of define and control and document what is your lead score. You could have one like this, or maybe you will have one that is focused on different groups of activities or property values. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. These are some examples of how you can do that. One of the aspects here that we can see have been a problem for many years regarding this is you set up a lead score, and then you wait some time, but you can definitely maybe see a lot of MQLs coming in. But if you compare that number of MQLs with the number of deals you're actually closing, you can see kind of a mismatch. That is what you often see when a lead score is not well maintained and updated regularly. And if that happens, you also get sales dismissals. You will see sales teams dismissing marketing generated leads. You will see lead scores ignored in general, say, okay, I can handle this by myself. And one of the main issues here seems to be that it's actually hidden. It is very difficult to discuss between yourself, in this aspect, marketing and sales. How is that lead score made? Who has been involved in making it? How do we understand it? So surfacing that information seems to be crucial.
Yeah, and also that usually the lead score model based on the old HubSpot setup was basically built on engagement and marketing engagement. So What we are kind of excited for touching upon today is that right now with the new lead score setup, we can actually work with fits both on company and context level, which means that sales will be way more integrated into the lead scoring model, and maybe we can actually remove a lot of these old disappointments with the new setup and really combine marketing and sales in the new scoring.
Exactly. And that is a really good introduction to the next slide, because now let's dive into how it actually looks, the new lead scoring model. And this is it. If you go into your menu in HubSpot, you can select lead score. It's probably named with beta, which will soon be removed. But now you can see that you have 4 options. Let's go over here. That's probably easier to read. You have a contact engagement score, you have a contact fit score. That's basically what Lotte just explained. Now we have the possibility to do the traditional lead score on a contact, on what they are doing and what we can measure they're doing. And we can have a score that is more their fit. But now we can also do it on companies. So we can do a company engagement score and a company fit score. So now we have 4 different types of scores. They have different functions, and we'll come back to that later in this session. But this is really something that is new in the way it's presented, because this has also been possible before. It has just been a lot more difficult to handle. I know Lotte has a few examples, I have as well, where you can do this, but you really have to document it in very stringent ways.
Yeah, so we built this before the new lead score app was released, and it actually took a few months to do it with some of our clients, because you needed to build different new custom properties on scoring level. You needed to build them for content engagement, content fit score or value score, as we called it. And then you needed to create a lot of calculated properties in terms of how you wanted to weigh all of their interactions as well. So pretty excited to see that this now comes out of the box.
Yeah, we were kind of happy, excited, laughing when we saw this in the first releases and started testing it, because it kind of reflected very well the way we see how you should implement a lead score in general. So let's dive in. I will start with doing a very short demo on how you can set up a lead score, and then we'll start to discuss different ways to handle that situation. How do we set it up? How do we measure on it? How do we visualize it? And lastly, doing a little on the strategic part in manufacturing companies, just so you know the kind of line here. So if I move over to the HubSpot portal here, if you go to the marketing part, you have all the menus here. So down here, you will see lead scoring in the beta format. If we had the time, I would love to go into here as well, because that is very well connected to lead scoring, but that will be for some other time. So if you move to lead scoring, you will see this, and I can either do it from scratch or I can do with AI. Let's talk about that a little later. So if I do this, you get that window I showed you before. You can do an engagement score, you can do a fit score, meaning here we can do on what people are doing. Here we can basically on the demographics, who they are. And the same for companies. But let's take the one we, I guess, know best, the engagement score or the behavior. This one has many names, I guess, during times. So I can select this and create it. And now I move into building a lead score. First of all, just a recommendation. Be very quickly to change this, because either you will end up with property names that will be like this. So have a contact engagement score. Maybe that's really what you should call it in this instance. And that will save you some pains afterwards in changing names on this. Now you can select a score limit. And let's delve a little on that. In the older one, you would basically be capable of going on forever. So if you had a behavioral action, could be an ad or an email or whatever, you could score up and up and up. So you have difficulty to control what parts of your lead score are actually deciding compared to other parts. This is a part of solving that problem. So here I can select 100, 200, up to 500. Funny enough, only on Enterprise. On Pro, you have only the value 100 at the moment. I'm not sure if that's going to change, but anyway, it's still very valuable. So I can max set this score to 100 in this instance. Now I can start building event groups. So let's say I have an event group here. I can now say, okay, I want to control, let's say, my ads, just as an example. So I give it a name. I can now set that based on that matrix I hopefully did before. I can set this group's limit to 20. So ads can only score 20 points of the total of 100. This will make a lot of sense compared to the old score property, where this was really difficult to handle, that one thing didn't really overshoot in values. Maybe you have a comment on that, Lotte.
Yeah, so what we saw beforehand was if you put in, for example, marketing engagement, and you have built, a really big lead nurture setup, for instance, you would get both marketing and sometimes also sales qualified lead solely depending on their email interactions. So again, really nice feature that we can now set a limit for their interactions and really how much points they can gain. So again, really exciting to be able to build a solid score model.
Exactly. And now you can see I'm just building here while Lotte is talking, and I think you would quickly grasp the method here. You can select some specific ads or a specific ad group, all the normal things you could do here, also importing, by the way, and give them the point you believe is the right ones. When done that, I can add more events. Maybe I'll do one on forms. That is what we normally would see, right? And selecting those forms I wanted to be part of that. And you can go on and go on like this. So that is one of the reasons why a matrix in a spreadsheet is a very good idea, because this quickly can become a little complicated to understand when you're into the interface. I find this much easier to handle than the old score property. I think I'm infamous of setting up something complicated and then forget to save that part I was just building up and can start from scratch. That UX part was not my favorite, to be honest. So basically, you can now set up a score. You can set it in groups. So here we have a group of ads. Here we have a group of forms. Here we can then go on, and you can see all the different types of engagements we can build this from, which is basically all the engagements you can do by the HubSpot platform. So that is the main part. You do groupings of engagements and set the points here. You may have noted that you can also set a decay score here. So I can go in and do this. And now what decay is saying, okay, if for some time period, let's say a month, let's reduce that effect of that value by 50% or by 30%. So we reflect that if people have clicked on an ad today, that effect of that is probably limited in a month time. So we can reduce the number this way. This is really, really great in setting up a decay that could resemble what you did before, trying to do a negative score of -50 or something to avoid an effect of a specific part of your lead score. So as you can see now, I can build a new group. So I should probably have put the forms in its group for itself, but then I could do documents, whatever. I think you get the picture, and I can then start to build that. And look at this, you can still then do a new decay of that. So dependent on the engagement type, you can set up different decays. So this is pretty cool. The other stuff you can do here is when this is set up, it will calculate it, but you can also select the number of people you want, or companies you want it to score on. So let's say you have a lot of contacts, you can decide to only score on all leads, or leads and MQLs, or leads and MQLs and SQLs, or something totally different. But I'll come back to that a little later as well. So there's a lot of options here to specify the people you want to have a lead score on, basically. And that's it. When you have done that, and you can see now it's calculating here, then I can set up the name of the property. As I said, this was basically the one I was doing here. So instead of getting a strange name, you can get it here, and your lead score is set up. That was the very, very fast introduction to it. But I think it's important to understand you have the score limit, the max number the score can make. You can do groups of scores, saying this group can only do 20, this group can only do, let's say, 25, and so on. So you can make some logic that is much easier to update at a later stage. I think that is probably the most important thing on this. This is very more easy to maintain during the coming month, the coming years in running the lead score. Do you have any comments, Lotte, on this?
No, not for what you went through, but there is a question in terms of if you can create contact lists and only score the list members. So can you basically set up a score based on lists, or yeah?
Exactly. You got it. That's exactly what you can do. You can select up to 5 lists here, and it would only score on those and nobody else. And that is really relevant for a lot of companies, where you can specify what lead score do you want to be scored on this specific contact. You can see, I have an example later, that it could be your customers, but it could also be a score you wanted to do on your distribution part, your partner part. So that
someone was very happy with that answer.
Yoo-hoo! So this is quite kind of efficient, and as you can see, it's part of that lead score you're building, so it's quite easy to set up. Let's save this one, and let's go back to. No, I want to show you one more thing before I move out of this. Visualization of this is extremely important, as said before, that we can get it visualized how that score model is actually running in the background. So the last part of setting up a lead score in the new lead score app is that you can now do a threshold. And what is a threshold? Well, it's basically what you see down here. You can do, and this is fixed, you can only do 3. You can say, okay, everyone between 80 and 100 points are the great ones. We can set it from 40 to 79, then is the medium part, and up to 39 is low quality. These are really cool in that you can visualize great leads, great distributors, whatever you are measuring on, great email quality. There's a lot of ways to use this in a very easy way, so you can also follow this during time if things are changing. I think this is really, really valuable that you now have the scoring label that can give you that information. So when you're done with that, you can review it, and as you can see, I need to save it before. I'm not going to do that, but then you understand that you have built a full model. You have event groups. You have the event groups. You have the score limit, and you have the thresholds built in. And as the question said, you have the lists where you can limit who you're actually attacking on it. This is basically showing this threshold I was talking about, where you can start getting some help on what are considered bad, what is considered medium, what is considered very, very good. So you can start working on your model and then go back and look into this, what is actually a good scoring model in the current situation. Cool. But setting this up can be complicated, to be honest. The thing of going to the matrix and understand your contacts and their behavior and understand the companies on your ICP stuff, that is of course important. But let's say you have a very well-structured CRM, you have very defined life cycle stages, you basically have a good control system. If you're on enterprise, this is worth considering as another method of building a lead score. You can actually build it via the built-in AI, the Breeze AI that is now implemented inside HubSpot. So if you click on that instead, and I have a video of that instead, just to be sure that it works. Here now you can build either an engagement score for contacts or a fit score for contacts. Not for companies yet. This is still, as said, in beta, but looks very, very promising. So here the concept is, I need to tell the AI what do I want to measure on. In this instance, I want to look at contacts going from lead stage to sales qualified stage and or product qualified stage, just as an example. And then I need to ask it, what is the time frame I'm looking at into this? In this instance, 120 days. So it will look at the last 120 days and the history and that. And now it will start building the lead score. That said, this will fail if you don't have enough data. It will basically tell you that, hey, this doesn't work. And now you can see now it's building the model and trying to look at what are significant traits in your CRM data that makes a lead go from lead to a sales qualified lead, or in this instance, a product qualified lead. And the cool thing about this is you will see a lot more detailed lead score model than you will probably ever going to build by yourself in a spreadsheet. So this is, in my eyes, could be very intriguing if you have the data. This, I would say, use AI as a draft, maybe compare it to what you're doing manually and what you understand about your customers and your leads, and then look how the AI is interpreting your own CRM data. I think that's really, really intriguing. So here you go, and you have a new score, and that's basically it. And you can do the same thresholds values as you could before. I mentioned visualization before on the score property, that it is kind of difficult to understand, to see, to react on how should we change things if we need to change them. There, the matrix is very, very important in the spreadsheet to keep that updated, of course. But visualization is also about having it available where you are. And this is a great example of what HubSpot did a few weeks ago, I think, where you have the CRM record of your system, and now you can select it as a panel inside your HubSpot portal. So this is just a scale up of that. So we have all the scores that are built in, and we get the exact figures of that contact or that company on the CRM card available at the same time. This is very easy to set up. You basically go into your views of your CRM card, in this instance the contact card, and over here at the right side you can select here, and I think it's at the bottom somewhere, yeah, because it's new. You basically just select lead score, and now that is available in your specific portal, and then you can move it up as you want, so it's placed where you want it, and that's it. You save it and off you go.
But also with the new visualization, you will be able to see how points are increasing or decreasing over time. which is also very nice. So you don't have to go in and tap the little preview button on the exact property to see what happens. So that will actually be available also out of the box now to see what's happening on my especially target account if you're doing ABM as well. Last, just a quick question as well. Is it able? Are you able to create custom reporting on the lead scoring as well?
Yes, you are, and it's still in beta, and it's still missing a few things, but we can start now building custom reports on this as well. But I fully agree. Getting this visualized, and especially getting the history, is very important. And it is simply part of this panel that you can click on see score history. That will then show this panel, and you can see for this person, you can see the exact reasons why it has the lead score 50 at this moment. And you can see the dates where something happened that made that score either go down or up. So we have a kind of a more organic lead score running now, and we can actually see what is happening. So this will probably jump up and down in most situations because of adding points and decays happening at the same time. Good. That was basically the practicalities of what lead score is capable of doing. So let's dive a little back and look at what we call the structural overview. So just so we remember what we have in our hands now compared to one score property or multiple number of score properties. Because now HubSpot is trying to help us building an efficient lead scoring model for a manufacturing company. So we have the contact engagement. Basically, what I would say is the traditional lead score set. What are people doing? We have the contact fit score, which is more like who I am. We have the company engagement score, and we have the company fit score. And all of those have a score limit. So please consider that. You have one here, that could be 100. You have one here, limit 100. One here, limit 100. One here, limit 100. And now we can start building these event groups. So try to be as structured as possible. So you have an event group here. On that event group, you can add a score limit. As you saw, I had 100 here. I had 20 down here for this event group. The ads I just did. And for the engagement, you can also do a decay for that specific group, saying, over this time, I would decay it with this percentage of the value. And you can do the same thing on the company engagement. And you can basically do the same thing on the fit, except, of course, the decay. The revenue, you're not going to decay automatically or whatever we should mention here, like in the company fit, if that is what you are looking into. So, but basically the same setup is happening here. And then I can do, and I'm not sure, I can't remember how many, but I haven't met the limit yet. I'm sure it's there somewhere. You can basically build the groups you need and do the limits you need and the decays you need for this group of models. When that is done, you can then decide, back to the question, who or what companies I'm going to score on. And I can also set up what is a bad score, what is a medium score, the yellow one, and what is a great score in the green color that you saw in the score threshold part of the setup. So this shows you the basic overview of what you are now working with when we are setting up a lead score. To give you an example of that, this could be basically taken from the spreadsheet we looked at in the start. You could have a score that did calls, because sales engagements are also part of setting up the engagement score. Please remember that. We have all the possibilities to measure on the sales part as well. So you could have one group doing the call things. If we have calls, 4 calls or whatever, we give it that score. You know the drill. We can do it for CTAs. We can do it for documents viewed inside the HubSpot portal. We can have it for ad engagements, ads you have viewed, ads you have clicked, that stuff, kind of stuff. On when we look at the fit score on the contacts, it could be the country, it could be the persona, it could be the job title, it could be a specific department type, because that's important for us. We can do the company fit score, basically the same thing. Measure on countries, the industries, the headcounts, the revenue, whatever describes your ideal customer profile, so to speak. And then maybe a little funny one is the company engagement, because what is a company engagement? Well, it's kind of multiplying what you have here and then look at the company activity in total. So you can measure engagement not only for one person, but for many persons. And in B2B, I think that makes a lot of sense. We are all involved in buying centers that comprise of more than one person. Could be 4, it could be 5, it could be finance and a production facility and maybe another production facility, and it could be a distributor buyer, whatever. So we need to define that buying center, and we can now score on that as well in this part of it. And I think that's pretty cool. Any comments, Lotte?
No, I agree 100%. What I also think is very nice in this setup compared to the old one is that if you have like third-party data integrated into HubSpot, you can also, set the thresholds in terms of some revenue information more important than others, then score them higher. Score other revenue information lower, depending on how you have built your perfect ICP fit, of course. So I think, again, we have a lot of possibilities now to actually mirror our ICP directly into our lead scoring, both from a engagement level, which is most often marketing interactions, but also from a fit ICP level, which is a lot of the things that we look into from a sales perspective, right? So I think it's very strong that we can now combine these things.
Exactly. I fully agree. And you were good to mention third-party data, because we can also include that if anyone should wonder about that. We are not dependent on, in the scoring app, where this data is coming from. So if you have data coming from Vinu, as an example, or Breeze Intelligence, which is HubSpot's own data solution, of course you can measure on that as well, because if they're in a property, you can include it into a fit score. So yeah, I fully agree that is pretty cool. Cool, that's the overview. Now I think it's 2 slides that is trying to say, okay, how are we going to implement this? And first of all, I would say, let's discuss what is a good fit, what is a good lead, and then go into how to implement it. Because I think one of the main reasons HubSpot is doing this, having both engagement scores and fit scores, is based on reality, that we basically get better customers if they both are leads with a good engagement, whatever that means in user duration, and they are, of course, a good fit. That is also a company we know will be a good customer for the coming years. We can actually help them. We can do impact on that business, basically. I think that's what is the challenge for all of us in what we're doing in our daily work life. And in that way, I think this makes a lot of sense, because a good lead, it could be one with a good engagement, and where the buying center is involved as well. So that's why we're looking both at contact and company. And the same thing goes for a good fit. It is definitely within the ideal customer profile. It's the correct company type, the right industries, the right size. Do they have the branches we need to actually being able to help them? Can we supply our product? Do we have storage close to it? whatever is well-known factors you can build into your lead score in your own company. But it's also, am I actually talking to the right person? Are they a good fit as well? So that is, I believe, one of the main reasons why HubSpot are changing this model, that they recognize this is a basic need for all of us in our daily life in B2B. The complex stuff then happens when we got 4 scores. We have a score over here of some number, a score over here of some number, a score over here of some number, and you guessed it, a score over here of some number. So the brackets are basically saying, okay, we also need to understand how can we then mix these to get a good understanding. When should we, for example, surface a lead from marketing to sales? I'm not going to solve that today because I can't. This is very company specific. That is has a lot to do with doing on your own data, and why we're coming back to having a well-structured CRM can really help out here, doing those calculations, doing those lists that make sense in who's going from lead to actually a customer. So let's very quickly give you 3 examples. I'm not going to go through them today because of time. That's why I put in for reference. But examples of where you can use these scoring metrics in your company. The basics one I would say here is nurturing, how we nurture leads, how we can use it to do advertising audiences in scoring the leads, and how we do handover from marketing to sales. So here you have it for reference, and I basically, as a playbook, you can try to use yourself on if people have high engagement and are a great fit, what could we then do, set up for that specific situation on email nurturing? If they're a bad fit and have low engagement, what is then the purpose of this and our suggested method? So this is basically trying to help you setting up your email nurturing part from lead to SQL or to customer in your system. The same goes for advertising audiences. This is one of those I really love to dive into because I think the more relevant we can do ads, also based on scoring, the better experience we can make for our customers and our leads. Basically the same thing. You can look at it and get inspired from it. And then the traditional lead handover for marketing to sales. What could we do? What could be the activities in these different situations, depending on high engagement, medium engagement, low engagement? That is the score thresholds I was talking about earlier. And the same for great fit, a questionable fit, and a bad fit. So I hope this could be some inspiration for you in your own setup. Some of the main properties you could use in that area is this for the different scores. So use this as an inspiration because you are going to get the slides after this webinar. So feel free to use that. Lotte, we had one example we would like to go through today very, very quickly. And that is a thing we have met both in manufacturing and in SaaS.
Yes, and that is, of course, spam. So, if you're doing a lot of paid advertising, and maybe you're also doing a lot of awareness to a broader audience, you might have detected the spam. I think it's most common in software as a service, but we have also seen it for manufacturing that has a very big audience, at least, and maybe a lower ticket price than some other manufacturing companies. So what we have played around with, especially Lars, is how can we actually build a model where we can detect spam, and in that way actually filter those leads out by this scoring mechanism. So I think this is a quite interesting use case, and not what you usually would use the scoring to, but it might have a big value if you see a lot of leads being unqualified.
Yeah. I'm just showing the case description for reference. I'll come back to that. But the way we built this, just to describe it quickly, is we had this issue with a couple of customers where you have a lot of spam forms sent, where the emails are just spam. So what we did was the manual work for any lead score. We had a list for leads that sales had approved they were actually talking with. We had a list of disqualified leads that they recognized were spam. So they were quite large, both of them, I think over half a year in one of the examples. And then we put all that data into a solution called Kickbox. There are other solutions as well that is basically testing these emails, are they valid or not? And you get some scores from that, another score just to complicate stuff. So we did that email verification, and then we did a trend analysis on that data. What are the traits that made it like this was a spam? What are the traits that make this likely this is a correct contact? And then score that from 0 to 100 in the new lead scoring model. So basically, we got those numbers, did the calculations, pivot tables, and a little AI to help, and then set up the known data that it makes a high score, making it a likely contact in this situation. I'm not going into details. If you're interested, we can go into that a little later. But that actually ended up in something like this. Don't steal this, because you will get very different results from your own companies on how you should evaluate these different scores. I just want to show you this is one way to combine scores into a calculated property inside HubSpot, again for reference. But the cool thing is now, for every important form fulfillment now, we can automatically ask Kickbox via the API, is this contact, what's the quality of this contact? And in this situation, this is likely a contact. We have given it a score in the scoring app, and we also save all the data from Kickbox. And so we can recalculate this maybe in 3 months' time if needed. So the cool thing is here you can automate and avoid sending those leads to sales, because you know it is a spam, or you can be very, very certain there's an actual person behind that contact. And then you can, of course, as you said, custom reporting, Lotte. You can then start to do whatever type of reporting you want based on those different properties we have there. So again, the visual part I think is important. This is in the overview panel on a contact record, just scaled up. So again, we get a direct communication between marketing and sales on how we evaluate these different things, and we can look back into what the situations are. Cool. We are basically a little over time, but bear with me. I hope that's okay that we use 2 minutes on other situations in manufacturing that this could be really beneficial.
3 minutes left, Lars. So
I have 3 minutes left. Thank
Yes.
you, Lotte. I will just relax then, because these are some of the examples we're looking at the moment. Leads and acquisition score, I would say this is what we've been talking from our background today. That is setting up one or more of these new lead scores that make sense to you. And I think that's important. It's not probably in all situations where you need all four. Look at that, look at your data, and you will get a better understanding. Do you really need all four, or could you only use 3? What makes sense in that specific situation? In the spam example, we're only using one very specific score, of course, to get to the workflows we can build from it and the visualizations we can work from it. Another thing that is very much looked into in manufacturing is how do we prioritize between distributors and partners, OEM partners, whatever you're working with. And so one thing is to look at, we all have the stories, the assumptions on, distributor A is better than distributor B because so and so and so, but just think about having that in a more structured, data-based way as well. That's definitely something that is worth looking into. Trade shows, aren't they always coming back to us? How do we find better ways to rank the leads we have at trade shows? So if trade shows is an important part of your marketing and sales mix, I would definitely look into doing a specific lead score on that. And we can do some temporal analysis. Time-wise, we can measure the trade show impact on lead generation over time. And I think that is kind of intriguing to dive more into in the future on the new lead scoring model. I would say expansion is also a very important thing to look at. So a service contract score, when do we surface that for this customer? We definitely should go out now and give them a specific offer on service contracts. Again, use your data and your knowledge on where that makes most sense. And now you actually have the possibility with a new lead scoring model. So that I find very intriguing. I showed you if I can get this to work. I showed you this one, sorry. Actually, that was not the right slide, but it doesn't matter. You saw I did this, this one on the case scenario I just started with. I would definitely recommend try to do this. Give a short description of what you want. What is it you are trying to solve? It could be the service contract score here. In this case, it's just the spam score. What is the problem we are facing? What is the goal we want to achieve? And then start building a model on how could we maybe solve this if we have the possibilities to score on this issue. So it's just a recommendation. Have this and have the data to do the spreadsheet matrix to help you out building the lead score. So what I recommend you to do right now, and Lotte as well, because we've done this together, I would definitely look at your old score properties and look at converting those into to the new lead scoring model. At least for one reason, you get the visualization offered automatically now. So definitely look into that. I would recommend that you try to separate engagement and fit for the reasons we've been through. They have different reasons. We have different matrices between them that makes that into a multi-score model that makes sense for you. I would definitely look at setting up the CRM card I showed you on the numbers you can now get on the contacts and the companies and show the history. If you are an enterprise, use this AI facility to help you build the scores. That will probably, as for me, surface trends that you did not necessarily see by yourself by doing pivot tables or whatever you're doing to understand your data. And then the old famous, please update, please review, please come back to it. Because now it's so much easier to update and get an understanding of the lead score than it was before. And so this is what we recommend. I don't know if you have any comments here at the last part, Lotte.
No, I think we actually went through it all, and I think we just wanted to say thank you everyone for attending and letting us go 2 minutes over time, but we had a lot on our plate today. But hopefully this really gave you an introduction to the new lead score model, how you can use it, and also for use cases that might not seem obvious, like the spam score, but could be very helpful for you guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks all. Any questions, come back to us if you know where to get us. So thanks a lot for you attending.
Yeah, we will send the slides and recordings.
Exactly. Have a great day all.